Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Behind the Small Business Podcast. My name is Kevin Dandino, and of course, this show is always brought to you by Centennial State Insurance Agency. If you're looking for a quote, home or auto or commercial, reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to help set you up. Today, we have a fantastic guest, Jaco Lewis, owner of the Intoxicology Mobile Mixology, and you can find him at ineedabartender.com. This is going to be a fun one to hear about all the things he does, and he has a great personality. And if you can't tell, we have some special co-hosts as well. A couple of his doggos are going to be here helping us out today. So, Jaco, thank you for joining me today, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing today?
Nah, it's great, man. Weather's great. Things are looking good. The football draft's going on, so it's a good time of year for me, man.
I'm enjoying the memes that are coming out of it.
There's always some quality memes that come out of that stuff, man. I totally agree. Well, let's just jump into the meat and potatoes here and kind of break it down by telling us more about your business in general, and we'll kind of go from there. So what got you started in it? How's it going? What stuff do you do and provide? And take it away, man.
Absolutely. So a number of years ago, after I moved out of the mountains, I worked for a high-end catering company out of Vail, and I commuted there whenever they needed me. Helped them set up their bar program, and they really kind of helped me guide into the spot. But there was always something amiss. And I realized that there's something missing where it's not just the in and out that you can have with a lot of events. It's more service and experience forward versus just getting that next gig.
Yeah.
And I decided just, you know what, I'm going to do my thing. Told them, like, love you guys. See you soon. I'm going to do my thing. That evening, I bought my website, and about 4 days later, I had my first gig. And this was eons ago. Yeah, long time. But I found that niche where you do craft cocktails without the craft attitude, but also in such a way that pretty much everybody can afford it. Okay. You know, most companies tend to overlook the smaller events, the more intimate, like 20 to 40, 50 people. It's just not worth their time because it's not a huge big ticket item. But that's what I started focusing on, where these often overlooked people that still want to have the experience and never got a call back. And then I did. Yeah. And for the most part, the rest is history. It has grown so exponentially over going on almost a decade of doing this now. This is year 10. Last year was year 9. I'm still getting into the 2025 thing. And I even take 3 to 4 international trips a year, where I've been very fortunate to meet clients that can do that for me too.
Sure.
It's a blast. It's
I bet.
It is so much fun.
Well, I'm excited to hear maybe some of the stories or just experiences you've had along the way, and we'll get into that. But you're talking about how you left the job and you bought your website that night. So walk us through the naming process. You know, how did you pick the name for, ineedabartender.com? Seems pretty straightforward. Kind of surprised nobody else has taken that yet. But then, Intoxicology Mobile Mixology. I mean, that just sounds like a fun name. So, I mean, how did you come up with that?
So initially, when I bought the website, went on, I think it was GoDaddy, and so I just typed into Google first of all, like, what would I be saying if I need somebody? It's like, I need and right there was a light bulb moment. Went on GoDaddy,
light bulb.
Typed in ineedabartender.com, and it says it's available. I have never pulled my credit card out that fast.
Yeah, because somebody else is typing it in as you are too. I guarantee it.
Probably.
Also this is available? Cool.
Right. And over the years, many people have offered to buy the website from me and so on. It's not going to happen ever. And initially, while I was doing on the side, building the company, it was Colorado travel bartenders. And even now, my Instagram handle is at travel bartenders to this day, because people just know it by now. Yeah. And it's gone through a few iterations through the years as I fine-tweaked it and whatnot. And a couple of years ago, I restructured it into Intoxicology Mobile Mixology. Two main reasons for that. I've always called myself an intoxicologist instead of bartender or mixologist, and it always puts a smile on somebody's face.
Just like mine. Yep, that's great.
And I also wanted a name that people would remember regardless.
Yeah.
So the website is great. Obviously people get that immediately, but even if they don't remember the website out there, the company name, they're going to remember the intoxicologist with that long company name. That's a mouthful. So either way, they remember it. It's more of a psychological play. And so far, so good. It's been leaps and bounds since I restructured the whole thing. Took a whole new approach to things where I do slightly less events, but higher quality.
Yeah.
And now I even have a great part-time crew of about 12 people who are working with me. There are some of the most award-winning, amazing human beings on this planet. I also made the conscious decision to exclusively hire my crew through the United States Bartenders Guild. Okay. So they're vetted through there, and then they're vetted through me as well before they even show up to the first event. None of the Craigslist casual encounters hires and stuff.
I know how to make a Jack and Coke. Yeah.
No, like I learned my lesson the hard way back in the beginning, where when I hired this person who was a reference from a mutual acquaintance. And it's like, yeah, I know how to make an old fashioned, and they start muddling all the fruit inside, which is red flag number one.
Yeah,
but I can let it slide,
Sure.
like Wisconsin makes it that way, so I get it. But start adding grenadine and Sprite, and I'm like, that's not.
Wait, what?
I wish I was making this up. And it was two of us for like 150 people, so we were getting our butts kicked, and there was no time to even show the right way. Yeah. So I just kind of like donkey flaps and just let's just get through this and smile.
Exactly.
But yeah, so that was the catalyst for me to make the decision that I'd rather not do an event than not work with somebody that's part of the Bartenders Guild.
Right.
It just gives you that extra gravitas.
Sure. Well, and the experience. And I will say to any listener out there right now that if you order an old fashioned and see them put Sprite in it, take it from them, dump it out, and have them removed from the premises immediately, because that is sacrilege. Okay. I love my old fashions, and that just blows my mind. Anyway, that's a crazy story.
I have about 12 recipes for old fashions.
Ooh, you and I might become best friends here soon.
Cinnamon chocolate old fashioned.
Oh, okay. You're speaking my language here, buddy. You're speaking my language. I love it. Well, I kind of want to hear some of the experience of like what it was like for you to go from being an employee to saying, I'm going to be a business owner. And then maybe some of the challenges that you experienced as you were moving into that phase. Or just maybe some, challenges you've had over the your experience in general, but kind of want to hear about that a little bit.
So the big catch-22 that I learned very early on, is that you have to think like a business person first before you think like a bartender.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it was all like, it's just a bartender showing up, making drinks, happy days. And I realized, like, wait a second, I'm broke. And I never thought about things like the taxes and the insurance. Like I've had companies before, so I have the experience with these things, but at that point, it was just a side gig. So I didn't really take too many things serious besides my taxes. But then it came through to the thing of like, you need specific insurance, and where do you get the proper crew? How do you even find these people to hire you?
Right.
There's probably a good 20, 25 barriers to entry to actually make it past like year 2 doing something like this.
Sure.
Where I was very fortunate is that I had this great network already of chefs and bartenders and people that had more knowledge and experience than I did in pretty much everything on this planet.
Sure.
And it's I don't remember where I heard this, but it's where somebody said once that they call it phone a friend. Actually, I think it was on your podcast where I heard somebody say that. Where it's it was Quincy from Right as Rain.
That's right. It was Quincy. There you go. And shout out to Quincy.
Shout out to Quincy. And Right as Rain and Kinsey, who's her partner, who I mostly deal with, like they're one of my planner partners.
Sure.
So small world. But yeah, so I have all of these people like chefs and so on that have already established and have their network, and ask them like, how do you do this? How do you approach this? Do you need somebody? I'll work for free. Just let me get some experience coming into this. And
Right.
I can pretty much count on one hand of a few people that said, you know what, screw it. We'll give you a shot. Come help us out and we'll go
Mm-hmm.
from there. And it just kind of snowballed from there and just started growing. So I'm a firm believer that anybody who says, oh, I'm a self-made person is an absolute liar.
Right.
There's not a single human person on this planet that did 100% by themselves. However
Right.
minute, there's always somebody.
Yeah.
And I try to reflect that into how we do things these days, for instance. And I'm sure we'll get to that at some point, but of how to kind of help guide the next generation that's trying to do what we do.
Right. Right. Well, that's actually a good segue. We can talk about that. I think we were talking before the show here about some of the things you do, community involvement wise. And you kind of mentioned a couple things there. So I want to give you an opportunity here to kind of talk about, that idea of helping out the next generation and kind of what you do within your business for helping out the community.
Yeah, so a few months ago, a couple of us that have been in the business for at least like 10 years started up what's called the Colorado Private Mobile Bartenders Collective. Another mouthful.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's a group of vetted bar services, like the original mobile bartender company, and I'll give him a shout out. It's a friend of mine. Is Party Liquor. So Shannon is an amazing human being. He's the OG that has done what I do in Colorado since the mid 2000s, and he's part of that as well. He's one of the only two companies that actually has a liquor store / liquor license. So they can actually provide the liquor, unlike the rest of us, which is dry hire. Another thing that we have to kind of, a stumbling block that you get through, like how do you approach that? You create another relationship with a liquor store. So with the collective, a lot of the people in there are brand spanking new. I'm talking like a year or less. And they are hungry to get into the whole thing.
Sure.
Most people will look at this as your competition. Is like, why are you helping them?
Yeah.
Well, multiple reasons. I'm not a greedy person, but also I want people to do it the right way.
Right.
They can copy me all they want, but they cannot be me. So I'm not worried about them taking away some of my business. And if they can, they probably deserve it. So I give them kudos for that. So there's no hard feelings with these kind of things.
Yeah.
But we wanted people to just kind of be on the same page, but in a laid back environment, not like do it this way, but not just like, hey, here's a better way to do this, and here's the way to do it completely legally by doing it this way. You want to the second part of it. We don't want to be over-regulated like a lot of other vendors. Like, for instance, your hair and makeup people need to have specific licensing. Your caterers need a food like a food permit from the state, etc., etc. Commercial kitchen, whatnot. The moment people start taking shortcuts, all of a sudden they're going to start micromanaging us. Great way to avoid that is to just do it the right way from the start.
Right. Yeah.
And there's more than enough business for all of us out there.
Yeah.
So there's plenty to share. I don't want all the business. None of us in this group want all the business.
Sure.
Everybody just wants their fair share and want to do it right. That's it.
Right.
And that's kind of become this beautiful thing where just this meeting of the minds, where you get all kinds of new ideas and you just network and refer business back and forth. I've personally hired a bunch of them to come work my events with myself or one of my lead bartenders to see how it's done.
Yeah.
And that way it's kind of easier for them. Instead of taking 7 months to learn it, they can do it in a weekend.
Yeah. Yep. No, that makes a lot of sense. And I'll be honest, like, we've done 14, 15 of these episodes so far. I'm starting to lose track. So I kind of told you. But there's a couple common themes I'm hearing from all these business owners that have been around for a while and, are having success. And this idea of not just networking, but, part of the network is other owners in the same business area as you, and wanting to build each other up and help each other out. I think going into this, because I have no business ownership background of any kind. So, it's really intriguing to me to hear these stories and to hear how people are going out of their way to help out other business owners, right? It's not this, I got to take care of myself first. You're all my competition. I want to, take you down any way I can. I got to be better than you in every possible way. Yeah, you want to be the best at what you do, but like you said, like they can copy me. That's great, but they can't be me. And that's, I think a really great mindset for a business owner to have, help out other business owners, but it's going to come back to you in multiple ways.
But that's also where you come into the picture.
Yeah.
Look at what you're doing over here. Like,
sure.
I count myself as very fortunate that you're actually taking the time to do this with me.
Glad to do
it. It's this podcast is a perfect example of exactly that.
Sure. No, it makes a lot of sense.
Somebody needs love again.
No, you're good. And actually, it's another, you're good at the segues here, because that's actually going to lead to the next one. And what I said about how, the others, they can't be you. And it sounds like there's a couple unique things that you provide that others just don't. One of which is getting your really awesome golden retrievers involved. So tell me about that and kind of how you came up with this idea of getting them involved.
So I have two golden retrievers, Snickers and Duke. And my neighbor's kids actually named Snickers. That's another funny story for another time. When I decided to get Duke a little baby brother. One day I was working an event. It was like a tiki party, and it was in somebody's backyard in the Rhino district, or not Rhino, the Highlands district of Denver.
Okay.
And about 3 hours before I was supposed to set off to go sit up and do my event, I texted him, was like, "Hey, I have this puppy. His name is Duke.
Yeah. He's
not even a year old, and my dog sitter just bailed on me." And he's like, "Dude, just bring the dog." I'm like, "Cool, happy days." Brought the pup, brought the crates, the snacks, the treats, the toys, the whole thing. Like, that was half my setup, was just for this potato over here that's sleeping next to me right now. And the first iteration of what I call the Snickerdoodle dopamine package was born. So once I got Snickers and he kind of became of age, and this is the little needy one right now, I started offering that as a package, an add-on package for zero charge. Yeah. Where, especially if I can't find a dog sitter in time, I actually offer it beforehand now. It's like, if the venue is pet friendly, would you like me to bring these two potatoes dressed in tuxedos and entertain the introverts? And so people are like, yes, absolutely. Because there's always a couple of people at a wedding, for instance, that are definitely dog lovers, but then it's also the ones who are kind of like in the corner and socially awkward, but the moment they see a dog, they're like,
they light up.
I'm good. Do your thing. I'm absolutely good. Yeah. And that's just kind of how it's been. I've booked weddings purely because of these two.
Wow.
And it's so much fun. I have videos of it on my Instagram too. The other one is a dream long time in the making. Sure. I saw a video that went viral a few years ago on Instagram of a dude that had his Volkswagen bus, and it was a running bar. And I'm like, I want to do this. And two and a half years later, it is standing 40 feet away from where I'm sitting right now. And this afternoon, I'm actually welding in. I did the fabrication completely myself. Just like the bars that I have, I built them myself. The last hinge is going into the bus today. And the roof folds up and the windows fall down. And two bartenders stand inside the bus and make the cocktails. And it runs. I can drive there, set it up in 3 minutes, bartend, close the roof, and go home. So that is the cocktail combi, and I just launched it in January at the Rocky Mountain Bridal Show, and it's now going live next week as the first event.
That's really cool. That's really cool. Yeah, first off, I don't know how many events I've been to where a dog, much less two dogs in tuxedos, would have just made it so much better. Whether it was a bad event or it was already a good event, it could have made it better, right? Get some dogs in tuxedos there. And there is a cool like twist to there, like you're talking about, different personalities, and you get people that aren't really, or they're more introverted, right? And maybe they just feel a little awkward or they don't really know anyone. But you get a dog there, especially if they're dog lovers, like that's a good conversation starter. That's something for them to get involved with and be a part of the atmosphere. So I think there's multiple reasons why I think that's just a really cool and fun, unique idea. But then the cocktail combi as well, taking this idea that you saw was viral and people were really liking it, but then turning it into your own thing as well. So I'm getting a couple things here that it's like, as a business owner, don't be afraid to try different things, and make it your own. Just have fun with it is the big thing.
You have to constantly reinvent yourself, not necessarily to just stay relevant, but as the ages change and the viewpoints change, and if you consider things like, especially like post-election year, every 4 years, post-election year, like those first 6 months are always weird. And you always have to adjust to these things.
Sure.
That goes hand in hand with like the dogs and the combi. But that pretty much boils back to, as I mentioned in the beginning, of being service forward. Here's an example. Yeah. You've been to a wedding before, right?
Sure have.
Okay. So you always hear about the beautiful bride, the great couple, maybe the view, maybe the food. You never really hear or see anything about the bar.
Yeah.
It's just there as a purpose. Here's your vodka soda. Have a good day. Exactly. So doing like these custom on-the-spot cocktails like you would find in, for instance, like a speakeasy, like one of the places that inspired me to kind of create my program is like Williams and Graham, Death and Company, all those great bars. Yeah. And kind of made it my own thing. So it becomes this interactive experience that is inclusive without stealing the show away from the focus, which is the couple.
Right.
You want to find a good balance with that. And part of what helps with getting that balance is having interesting additions, like maybe a custom wooden bar or a cocktail combi or 2 potatoes and tuxedos.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where it's something that people remember afterwards, whether it's the mouthful of a name or the fact that they were sitting there listening to speeches petting a golden retriever.
Right. Exactly.
It's about I tell my couples, all my clients, whether it's a corporate event or wedding or a cocktail party, I have 2 goals in mind. I want to wow you, and I want to be the only bartender you ever call again.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
And that's all these things tie into that. It doesn't happen overnight, unfortunately. So you have to kind of build up to that.
Well, you're like you mentioned, you're taking something that is a support function for these events, weddings or whatever. And you're right, they're a necessity for, some people have dry weddings or whatever, but still, like, for the most part, they're a necessity. They're part of the event, but they're in the background. You don't think about it afterwards. But what you were doing is taking it to the next level where it's not stealing the spotlight, but you're integrating more into the event memory and experience itself and taking it to that next level. So I think that's what is really fun to hear about, is just not just a business owner that's having success in what they're doing and likes what they're doing, but making it, how can I make this better that's going to be more enjoyable for the people that I'm serving?
That's absolutely correct. I'm sorry. I saw these two jumping up right now. And now Snickers is blocking Dookie, but you can see Duke down here.
They got to get their airtime.
Yeah. Duke is my shy boy, and Snickers, he's the life of the party. He doesn't give a damn. Everybody's a friend. But it's all about creating that memory. Like, especially with a wedding, you have one shot to make that work. And you want them to sit when they're 70, sitting on the porch, watching the grandkids running around on the grass, sipping their tea with vodka inside it, to reminisce about that day. However perfect or not perfect it was, but it was their unique day. And a unique experience adds to that.
That's great, man. This is a fun story to hear about for sure.
Dude, it's
Now,
such a blast.
I bet. Now, before we get into the next question here, first off, for everyone watching, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe on the podcast. This is an open invitation for any business owner. So, if you are one or have a business owner that you know of that wants to come on the podcast here, send us a message. We'd be more than happy to set you up. But since this is brought on by an insurance agency, since I am an insurance agent, like part of it is I really like to hear about the business owner side of things. Every business owner has a different story, different things they deal with and struggle with in their own, not just profession, but with their own business specifically. So trying to get a better idea of what you all go through and whatnot. So when it comes to the topic of insurance, and you mentioned this earlier on as part of becoming a business owner, not really thinking about some of those things that you needed to take care of, and just things that you weren't aware of, I guess. When it comes to insurance now, like what are some of the things that you think of? What are some of the things that you need to be covered for? Some of your concerns, like, that, hey, I got to make sure that I'm covered for this kind of situation. What goes through your mind when it comes to insurance?
So the two most important ones are general liability and liquor liability insurance.
Okay.
We can use an example of a wedding day. There are 20 versions of insurance going on that same day. Because you have photographer, the caterer, the venue, the DJ, everybody has their own thing. And then the venue has theirs. And then the couple has their own on top of all of these things.
Right.
And I think it's the norm now, but Colorado started with like a $500,000 policy incident and 1 million aggregate. And you know much more about these things than I do, but
sure.
I've always carried double that, which is 1/2 million. So it puts the couples at ease as well. And these are things that I kind of learned as I went along. But with that also, of course, you need workers' compensation to make sure if somebody does get hurt, which thankfully, knock on wood, doesn't happen so far. But also with auto insurance, like with the Combi, I need commercial insurance on that. And the shopping process can be an absolute buffoon process. But yeah, for insurance, definitely, it is a very intricate part of what we do. You want to make sure everybody's not just covered, but also at ease with the coverage.
Yeah, those are two different things.
Yes, and there's unfortunately a caveat as well, where sometimes people don't really understand how it should work, and they will ask for triple what the coverage should be. Where you have to politely educate them of, I understand, but you don't need this. And even if you do want it, I am not going to offer it because it's going to triple the cost of your wedding.
Right.
So there's a lot of diplomacy when it comes to these things, and continuing education, not just for ourselves, but also for the client, the couple, whether it's in their kitchen or at their corporate offices. There's a fine line to navigate over there, and it definitely helps to have a solid insurance company that can cover your butt.
Right. Well, not that you're waiting for something to happen, but do you really want to be walking around on a job, at an event thinking, wow, if something happens, I'm going to have to call somebody in some state or maybe another country that I've never met, that doesn't know me, that's just going to pull up my file, that if I have to call back, they're not going to be the ones that I talk to? Or do I want somebody that, is invested in me and my business, and I have a dedicated insurance agent, and I have somebody that knows me, knows my business, knows what I'm dealing with, knows my personality, and I can rely on? I think those are two very different things. So you're right. There's a difference between being covered and feeling, at ease, like you said. Those are two very different things.
Very different things. And it took me a minute to learn the distinction. I'll admit that. I did not know this from the first moment.
Sure. Well, I mean, there's a lot of negative connotations around insurance, and I can understand, but to be responsible and take that next step of wanting to educate yourself, at least, on what does this mean? Like, you don't have to be an expert, but to understand what this stuff entails and what you have to go through and deal with to make sure that you are at ease, take some work and take some time. But then, like you said, having someone in your corner that you trust, that you know, that you can rely on is a huge part of that at ease picture. You know what I mean?
It is definitely something that helps with that as well. Like, obviously, when you start off your business, you're trying to save money where you can.
Exactly.
And now I'm
right.
fortunate that I'm at the position where I value the relationship and the results more than the actual number. Of course, I don't want to pay the top of the line price. Nobody
Right.
does.
Sure.
But if I can just let's take a rhetorical situation. Let's say you are my person, my insurance guy.
Right.
I could fire off a text and it's handled.
Yeah.
And I know whatever needs to happen for that, it's done. And if it costs me an extra $50 a month or whatever it is, peace of mind, it is worth it. That's the way that I look at it. So it ties in with what you said, like you having somebody in your corner. Oh my God, it's glorious, absolutely glorious.
Yeah, that's some really solid advice, I'd say, for business owners out there, because I've mentioned this on the podcast before to new business owners. You see the commercials, oh, you're starting a business, go download this app, visit this website, and get a quote in 3 minutes flat. And you're like, okay, obviously that's working for them to the point where they can afford a commercial and all the cool graphics and stuff. Is that really covering you for a situation, or do you just have the piece of paper that says insurance on? Like, literally, it's just a printed piece of paper. All it says is insurance, and you're paying $300 a month for that or something. Do you really have the peace of mind?
I'm very fortunate that I am one of the few people. I'm very proud of this. I can see right through that, because since I don't do a one size fits all approach, I can recognize a one size fits all from a mile away. And that's why there's that beautiful X in the corner. I can just close the website,
click out of it, say not today.
And then ask somebody, who do you suggest? I just got a new accountant yesterday. Mine decided to leave the industry, and a fellow mobile bar service on the East Coast in the DC area. It's like, here's the number, call this guy. Boom, I have a new accountant like 20 minutes later.
Networking.
Yep.
Interesting. Interesting how it works out.
It's awesome. I love that. It's like, just get it done. Bah.
Yeah, that's perfect, man. Well, a lot of good advice, little nuggets here that I think people can maybe draw from. And what I'm hearing from you that I really love, and what I've learned over this experience of doing these podcasts so far, is really hearing the passion in these business owners' voices. And I can tell just you love what you do. You love interacting with people. Your whole mindset is, how can I make this better for the people I'm serving? And to me, I'm just saying this, like, that you're the type of person that I would want to go out of my way to hire, because I know you're going to bring that energy, that personality to the event, and it's going to make it so much better. So like, those are the things that really inspire me to keep doing these podcasts, because I love hearing these stories and I love hearing the passion behind the stories as well.
Yeah, it's that moment when, like, I'll use the example of your when I said the cinnamon chocolate old fashioned. It's actually the one that I play with people the most. It's one of my top 3 cocktails, almost 4 years running.
Wow.
And the garnish on top of the BFC, the big cube, is just a cinnamon stick, but I put an extra little dab of Aztec chocolate bitters. Ooh. And I tell people, you drink this 2 ways. Okay. First sip, don't breathe, because naturally your instinct is to smell.
Right.
No. Do that on the second sip. Feel in your mouth, and in the second sip, as you take it, smell. And the first one, they'll be like, feels round, tastes like cocoa, blah, blah, blah. Sure, it's expected. Then they do and it's all of a sudden like,
whoa, taste buds light up.
And, and it's that moment that I live for. It's like, I'm doing something right.
There it is. There it is. Yep. I know those moments. I know what you're talking about. Those are fantastic. That's great, man.
That's what I live for. Those little baby moments. That's freaking awesome.
For sure. Well, Jaco, seriously, thank you for spending time today and talking about your business. Why don't you spend a little bit of time here telling people how they can contact you, how they can find you, anything else that you want them to know about you and your business there?
Absolutely. Best, easiest website to remember on the planet, ineedabartender.com. my inquiry forms, my history, my photos, my social media, all of these goodies are on there. Even if somebody starts inquiring with me, they can access their personal secure portal through my website.
Oh, perfect.
So ineedabartender.com. The cocktail combi is cocktailcombi with a K.com. And people always ask me why it's called that. I'll happily tell them on the phone.
Sounds good.
And then across social media all around, my handle is at Travel Bartenders with an S. It's a different dude that doesn't have the S. But at Travel Bartenders. Those are the easiest ways to find me.
Okay. Perfect. Well, look, I know that probably have some events coming down the pike. Eventually, be giving you a call myself.
Please do,
and see, because if anything, just to try this old fashioned or several of your old fashions that you got.
Is it your birthday, November?
It is. It is.
Okay,
so
cool.
It's coming down. It's coming. It's going to be November before you know it. Might as well start planning it now.
November is the fun month.
Yeah, I bet, man.
But happy days.
Well, seriously, man, thanks so much for sharing your story. Thanks so much for spending some time. It's been great having you on the show, man.
And thank you for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure and honor. Thank you so much.
Well, as we go along through this, hopefully we can have you on again some other time and see how things are going and just talk more experiences and more stories, man. I'd love to have you.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
For sure. Well, hey, everyone else, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Behind the Small Business, again, brought to you by Centennial State Insurance Agency. If you are looking for a quote, either personal line or commercial line, please feel free to call us and see what we can do to set you up with a quote. And if you're looking for a bartender, you got Jaco and his awesome doggos right there. They're willing to help you out and get you set up for a fantastic experience at your event. But with that, guys, again, open invitation to any business owner out there. So feel free to send us a message on Facebook through the group or our Centennial State Insurance Facebook page. I'd be more than happy to set you up with a time and get you a recording for a future episode. With that being said, guys, we're going to log off and call it a day. So thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time on another episode of Behind the Small Business. Take care, everyone.